Hi, Daily Dragon parents. So we are in a interesting. I may need you to help your child tune their instrument with these pegs. I have a previous video posted to help you learn how to use the fine tuners. You need to always start using the fine tuners, and only in extreme cases do you need to use the pegs. Hopefully that won't happen. So I'll go over those extreme cases now. One, if one of these strings becomes extremely loose, you will need to, with these pegs, which I will go into in just a little bit of how. Another reason is if you are tuning with these fine tuners and you find that you have a fine tuner that is, you need to tighten it, but it is all the way down, or you need to loosen it and it is all the way loose. These fine tuners can come out. You just screw it back in. Also, please, some of your instruments, be careful when you are working with the fine tuners. Some of your instruments, there's a little lever down here and it will get so low that it will start scratching the instrument. Just be on the lookout for that. But let's get back to pegs. So generally I would say leave it to me, but I won't be able to handle your instruments. So I will give you some steps to walk you through it. So the first thing that you need to know is which peg to turn. I will do a document that you can look that will go on to what string turns a peg. However, it's not rocket science. If I want to tune this string, I just follow it all the way up into the peg box, see which one it is wrapped around. This is always the highest string and it walks around this. So, but once again, always double check that you are moving the correct peg. The worst thing you could do is to turn the wrong peg and you're not listening correctly and it can break your string. So try your very best not to break a string. So, when you need to use a peg, the first thing you need to do is loosen the peg, but please don't, you need to have a hand on it all the time and loosen it very gently. You loosen pegs by turning them towards you, if I'm in this orientation. So you're turning it down towards the bridge. So here is the bridge, and know that if I'll make another here, give me your, shoot me out an email and I'll walk you through how to put it up. So I need to know what it's supposed to sound like. And your instrument should always have the same intervals. Cellos, this is cello, it sounds generally, that's, and then in backwards order. And violins would go E, A, D, G. Okay, G, D, A, E, and has higher. You can look for tuning videos. There's a plenty on YouTube. So here's my A. I want it to sound like this. So I am going and my fine tuner, if your fine tuner is all the way down, go ahead right now and loosen it out so that you have room to move it up and down for when you do get the peg where you need to be. So I need to move the peg. You can hold it in lots of ways. For the video, I'm gonna hold it like this, simply because it makes it easier for you to see. However, if I were doing it, I would have it flat, probably flat on my lap, and turning it with my dominant hand. Do what feels comfortable. So so let's pretend that this A is out of tune. So I know, I need to raise the pitch. No matter whether you're having to raise the pitch or lower the pitch, the very first thing you do with the peg is you loosen it. So, so to loosen it, I'm going to turn it there. Did you see how little I turned it? That's a huge amount of turn for a peg. So every little, we're talking centimeters here. All right, so that's what it sounds like. I know it needs to go to A. Okay, you could have your child sing that pitch to kind of memorize what it's supposed to sound like. A, that's the way it's supposed to sound. Mommy, come on, let's say. Okay, so this is here and I need to get up here. So that's a lot. And you can see how little I turn that peg. So I'm going to need to tighten it. So once again, I'm going to loosen it a little and then tighten it. Okay, and I got it right there. But it might take you a... Okay, so that's where I am and I need to get here. Oh. Let's say you tighten it too far. Look how little I'm turning that. Did you see that? This is too far. Hey. Okay, so if I'm here, I need to get to here. So that's how, and think this is a cello. So the movements are going to be even bigger than they would need to be on a violin. So violin movements are even smaller, and you really have to pizzicato and listen to what the sound is doing. Because if you, okay, so just listen. So I can make that with those sweeping changes with just moving the peg. So you need to be listening. If your string is not moving, don't move the peg. All right, or if it's not vibrating. Okay, so I think this is an A. Close enough, okay? If I relax my hand right now, it's going to loosen. I can feel like, oh, I'm going to let some tension off my hand, and oh my goodness, it's going to loosen. That's typical. Because these pegs are not set in there. Most of them are not. There's some weird, very old ones that are, but most are not. So we rely on tension to keep it in there. So what I need to do now is put the tension back to keep the peg in place. So I'm going to do that by kind of bracing my hand here, and I'm going to just put. Okay, and then it's slipping a little. So as I feel it slip, I have that muscle memory of where it's supposed to be. So I remember, I make sure that I don't turn it any farther than where it's supposed to be. And so I finally got it back in. Okay, I didn't turn it any farther than it was supposed to be. And now I hear it, and oh, wait a minute, that's too high. So, Mom is what should sound like, and that's too high. And so now I'm not going to worry about the peg anymore. I'm going to go back to that fine tuner, which is attached, which you already loosened, so that you have room to move it up, down. And then I'm going to loosen it. Notice I'm always listening as I turn. And I cranked it up a little bit too high. Yeah, okay. Awkward positioning. Okay, so that is pretty close. That is how you can make adjustments with the pegs. Try it on your own, but being very careful. Remember movements, and always listening while you're turning it so you can hear the tension on the string. The higher the tension, the higher the pitch on the string. So if you're like, ooh, I think this might be too high, relax it and push it down. I would rather have an instrument out of tune that you can play than an instrument without a D string or an A string. If instruments do get out of tune, let's say string, and you're just not able to get it, or it breaks, then you can always practice songs on different strings, especially if the song never changes strings. So even for my upper elementary, let your parents do this unless you're in lessons and your lesson teacher has already explained how to do this. Middle school, I think you can handle the pegs, hopefully. So good. We'll hope to see you all soon, and reach out if you have any questions. Bye.